All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone joining today's session. I'm very happy and excited to bring and introduce Veena today. She has been very excited to come here and talk about her journey and some questions I have put together, and she's ready for the questions as well as, and she's ready for your questions. So welcome, Veena. How are you today?
Good, Dharam. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you all of you for joining again and again. I've seen many people coming again, and I know you find this session very informative. And if you have not seen all the webinars, previous webinars, don't worry. I have recordings of all of them. Probably around 70, 80 webinars I've done so far. So just like Veena, there are other professionals who came to this on this platform and did excellent job in sharing. So if you don't have the YouTube link, let me know. Otherwise, you can find the YouTube link on my LinkedIn post or some other places. So please keep looking, and keep also. The good news is you're also going to get a one PDU for this session as well, and many other sessions. So any sessions, any recordings we have done in last 1 year, most of them can give you one PDU. If the PDU is one thing you'd like to have, great. And if you are here for knowledge, and I have Veena for you to talk about. So Veena, thank you once again for joining this session. And Veena is coming with extensive background with 20+ year experience in product development, process optimization, and cross-functional collaborations. She started her career as design engineer and gradually became senior design engineer, assistant manager working at reputed organizations such as Mother-Son Sumi, SAIC, and Pentair. He currently serves as program manager at BAND-IT IDEX, responsible for driving new product development and strategy deployment. So the best thing is, and good news is, she is PgMP. She has passed the PgMP exam as of 19th October 2022. I know it was a journey. She was, she was a little nervous, but in the end, the result was perfect. I think you got great result. You had above target result, isn't it?
Yes, that's right, Dharam.
Perfect. So look, this is what I'm expecting from a student: come and learn and go all the way and pass the exam with above target. Yeah. So thank you for helping me to maintain my record, and I'm very excited that 448 PgMPs from 52 countries has benefited from my program, and they are now PgMPs, and even PfMP are 108 PfMPs with 99.07% pass rate. Not 100%. I used to say 100% last year. Anyway, so once again, welcome, Veena, and welcome to all of you. I know some of you are joining midnight or very early morning, but this is your commitment to learn and learn for your career and learn for your knowledge. Veena, do you have something to say?
No, I echo what you just said, Dharam. I really want to thank all the participants for taking time out and being here in this webinar and giving me this opportunity to share my experiences and views. And big thank you to you, Dharam, and your team for making this happen for me. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Pleasure is all us. We're looking forward to people like you to help us to build this knowledge bank. And as I said, I have more than 100 webinars and videos on my 2 YouTube channels. So I'm sure nobody wants to miss them. Some of them are podcasts with some of the knowledge industry experts, and you definitely want to see them. So that's a separate channel where I have only podcasts with the experts.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So yeah, please look for both YouTube channels. All right. So I can see a lot of people have joined, and I'm sure you're very excited to hear from us. And at some point, you can also talk about what was the reason for you to choose PgMP, You can talk now. What was the reason for choosing the PgMP, and how did you get there and pass the exam?
Yeah, sure, Dharam. So, yeah, like Dharam said, very recently I obtained my PgMP certification. So just to talk a little bit about the journey, unlike PMP, my PgMP was, I should say, a little different. So being in project management, program management, environment, PgMP was always kind of in my radar. I always wanted to do it because in my work environment, I used to keep crossing between projects and programs. And being a strong believer and advocate of PMI methodologies, I always wanted to do it the PgMP way, learn the PMI recommendations and methodologies. So whenever I got time, I started reading about it, downloaded everything from PMI website, but somehow I was not getting a hold of the concept of the subject. I was not getting that confidence. So I went back, looked for some resources, and that's when Dharam, I came across you. Signed up for your mentorship program, and very soon I kind of started seeing the way I was approaching the subject, the way I was understanding and pursuing the subject. So there is a little bit of complexity in PgMP concepts. What I mean by that is, if you really see real world environment, that's what program management is all about, right? We are kind of navigating so many elements at the same time. So you have your program life cycle, which is your really your outline, your skeleton of management. And then you have all your 4 domains which are interacting and integrating with your PLC. And you also have your program activities, which is the list of things that you're supposed to do. Now, this is how your program works. What a program manager is supposed to do, that's where you have all your tasks. So at times, you really feel, oh, there's so much going on. It's like all over the place. I used to feel that too. What is really, really important from an exam point of view, the first tip that I have, I mean, many of y'all might be going through this journey already. The first tip is to map all these things properly. It's really, really important to put all these pieces of puzzle together and look at it from a holistic point of view. And Dharam has all the tools for that. And then the second tip is having a deeper understanding of the task and how they relate to performance domain is really, really important. I mean, unless the mapping piece, initially it might be a little time consuming, you might feel it's exhaustive, but it's important. I mean, if you get it, really that is the key for a holistic understanding of PgMP and for the exam. And the last tip and the third tip, this is also Dharam's tip, you fix a date and then work towards it. In our mentorship program classes, Dharam always used to say, fix a date and then start preparing. And I used to hesitate. I'm like, oh, I'm nowhere close. How can I fix a date? But I really, when I got close to it, yes, having a date and working towards it is really, really important. And I mean, the easy tip that I can give is just follow what Dharam says and you'll get there. And that's what I did.
Thank you, Veena. Thank you for giving the tips as well. And I hope some of these tips can be useful for the people and they benefit out of this discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for supporting on the certification, Dharam. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I feel happy when my student get the result, and that too with the above target result. I think you got a 5 out of 5 above target.
That's right, Dharam. That's right.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. I mean, that's what as a mentor I'm looking for. Not only passing is important for me, the result you get is also important. Uh, Fantastic. So thank you for the tips. So today, actually, we are talking about, given that Veena is coming from manufacturing industry, and she has done a lot of project and program management in manufacturing. I thought, let's talk about it. So we're talking about project management in manufacturing industry. So I have a set of questions, and I also received a number of questions from the audience. And even now, not late. Whenever you feel like, feel free to put your questions on the question pad, and I will take it as and when the right time come. And also, as I mentioned, we have PDU approved. So at the right time, I will also put that PDU code on the chat. And if you are working towards PgMP PfMP, I've shared a couple of links on the chat. Feel free to copy and paste it and watch it later on. And this is for PgMP PfMP. This is generic information. What are the various things you have to do? What you have to make, what you have to do to prepare for the application, panel review, and other. Yeah, I'm sure you will find them very, very useful. Okay, with no further delay, let's get started. Thank you. Thank you again for all of you wonderful people to join today and giving us your time. And I hope we can give you enough, more than enough you need from this session. So, Veena, my first question is, what is the recommended project management approach in manufacturing industry? Agile, Waterfall, because a lot of words, I know Waterfall is coming long time, and Agile is a new concept, but people get confused. Can Agile be applied to any industry, or especially in manufacturing industry?
Yeah, sure, Dharam, we can start with that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are these methodologies which keep floating around in the industries. So before touching on the methodology, I would like to throw some light on, in a manufacturing industry, what kind of gets qualified as a program or as a project, because it's very industry specific, it's very organization specific. Some industries do a pretty good job, but in some organizations, that deeper level of clarity is not there. So what I mean by that is, like in automotive industry, like Ford, they just pick a vehicle, F-150, they call it a program. And they, in aerospace, they pick up product line, the entire product line, product life cycle management, they call it a program. Yes, there is at least this level of clarity, and they do a pretty good job in sticking to that. But in other organizations, in majority of the organizations, that clarity of what qualifies as a program or project is really missing. And some examples in organizations where you typically find is new product development qualifies as a project, capital investment, onboarding some new processes, installation of equipment, continuous improvement. All these kind of qualify as projects. Okay, now coming to the methodologies. Traditionally, we see a lot of waterfall approach in manufacturing industry, and that definitely makes sense because waterfall has its own advantages. But given the advances and given the success in agile methodologies, I don't see a reason why we cannot tailor agile practices in manufacturing industry, to be honest. Like, but can we just replace it? Maybe not. It's project specific, situation specific. Like, for example, you really don't want to change a $500,000 tool when you're validating your product. There the focus is different. But a classic example where Agile fits in is nowadays 3D printing. Oh my God, the advances in 3D printing is tremendous. It allows engineers to design and get a look and feel of the product within few hours. And I really don't see why we cannot have some sprint exercises and practice Agile there. Yeah. So in my opinion, it fits a hybrid kind of an approach. Here, initially, when you're trying to conceptualize things, you can definitely, adopt Agile. And once your baselines are defined, I think at that point, it's good to pivot towards Waterfall. But there are some projects like continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is a big focus area in any manufacturing industry these days. And there, Agile fits perfectly because you want to see improvements as you're working on it, as opposed to going to an end-to-end solution. I think those kind of projects Agile fits best, but where there is heavy investment, where there is a capital involved, I think there is it makes more sense to adopt a waterfall approach there.
Fantastic. This is, yeah, I mean, I was not aware. I thought, we have to use waterfall in almost all the places in manufacturing, but you have opened my eyes at least, that some places we can apply Agile, but maybe we have to tailor it.
Yeah, and then another thing that is important is, there is a risk involved, and if you are failing, you have to fail fast. You don't want to put in time and cost and walk all the way and then realize it's not going to be successful. That's where a little bit of Agile is helpful.
Fantastic. Yeah, we need to assess what methodology can work, which will give us better result, faster result, or you said fail fast. If we can fail fast and get the result, we look for the best practices in all these, whether it's a hybrid, waterfall, and Agile, and apply them, whatever is applicable, whatever can make our journey, product journey, even faster or smoother.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me take the next question, and this is about project management challenges. What are some of the challenges that the project manager must overcome in manufacturing industry? Why don't manufacturing culture understand project management? It's actually a question coming from somebody who already submitted before, so we have combined together two questions into one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for sending that question and sharing your thoughts there. It's very common, to feel, oh, these guys don't understand. Oh, they don't understand project management. But let's look at the industry characteristics, before jumping into the challenges. So, in today's economic climate, in today's fast-moving context, generating value, increasing profitability, decreasing your cycle time, increasing throughput, these are the key focus areas for any manufacturing organization. I mean, if they have to be leaders, if they have to hit their profitability numbers, this is key. I mean, these are common characteristics for any manufacturing organization. Now, so that which gets importance in a manufacturing company is production. I mean, we all have to understand that, because at the end of the day, you have to ship products out of the door. Many organizations have daily revenue targets to hit. So this is bread and butter. This hits your numbers directly. And then manufacturing organizations are very, very lean. They always keep saying do more with less. You'll hear your supervisors, managers saying, hey, this is all you get, but you have to deliver. Plus, there is a complexity element, which gets creeped into manufacturing organizations. What I mean by that is, you can see complexity in many, many areas: customer complexity, product complexity, process, your transactions. It literally sinks in and literally exists throughout the organization. In fact, some of the strategic initiatives in some organizations is complexity reduction and simplification gets higher priority. What they mean by that simplification terminology is eliminate noise, so that they can have their resources focus on critical few, which can help them grow their business. So now coming to the challenges. despite this kind of an environment, organizations, companies do recognize the value of project management. It's not that, hey, we are only focused on numbers,
Yeah.
but even though companies have made it imperative, according to me, it's somewhere still going through an adoption phase. So definitely project managers will go through challenges. The first challenge that you will always face, I still face, is prioritization. You know, when I say prioritization between your production and whatever project you're managing, you know, anything that is new, project management is required and you might be working on it. So even for somebody sitting at a leadership position, this is a difficult prioritization decision, you know. So this is actually a business challenge, according to me, which kind of gets cascaded down to project managers. Now, the second challenge that you will always walk into is resources. As I mentioned, manufacturing companies are very lean. Across, you'll always find shared resources. It's very hard to get dedicated resources for projects. So that puts you under a challenge when it comes to assigning resources to your projects. So project managers have to constantly work with the supervisors, with the managers. Number one, to assign the right kind of resources. Number two, being proactive in their communication and making sure they have resources assigned at the right time. And many times, I mean, even if you have resources assigned, supposing there is a machine breakdown in the shop floor, you lost the resource for like 8 hours or 16 hours or whenever till the machine is up and running. So yeah, there's a contingency element here that is involved. And keep in mind that all this is change. All this is a part of change management. So traditional approaches, traditional methodologies have to slowly transition into modern project management methodologies. You will see a lot of resistance there. So constantly project managers have to wear their change manager hat and keep their communication channels open and keep advocating the value of what they get while they're managing projects and programs. So think about it like two scenarios, right? One is there is an existing framework, you know, the typical dream framework where you have a PMO. Hey, there's some director leading that PMO. You have program managers. You have project managers who level up to the program managers. So in a setup like this, you have your PMI toolkit. So you have to go there and perform. But if that framework does not exist, you've got to carve yourself in the environment. It's challenging, but it's exciting at the same time. I look at it as an opportunity.
Exactly. Good.
Yeah.
When you're talking, I was actually thinking about my experience working for a steel authority, you know, a steel manufacturing company called SAIL. In the shop floor, how the steel is coming melted and this and that. So how I'm going to apply Agile there? Yes, not to the operation. This I'm thinking operation. Hang on, this is the operation. But when we talk about the building a reporting system, building a some IT system, that's where I can apply. But yeah, so I think when you have to build this big pot for making this melting the steel, I think there's a lot of project management required and very rigorous project management required. And yeah, so we need to follow the project management methodology as defined by PMI or other project management institutes. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Veena. Great thoughts, and some of the things I'm able to connect my dots now. I used to think how and when, but anyway, good. Thank you, and thank you for your insightful thoughts and sharing the knowledge. And guys, if you do have any questions or any follow-up discussion you want to have on that, please feel free to put on the chat or on the question pad. All right, Veena, my next question for you is, what are some project success monitoring measures? How do we measure the success in the manufacturing industry?
Yeah, so that's really important, Dharam. We touch on this topic because unless you have the right metrics, you don't know if you're creating an impact for the business, right? So traditional approaches that what we have learned in PMI and what PMI recommends is SPI, CPI. These are great indexes, great metrics to measure. But this offers actually two challenges in manufacturing environment. Number one, availability of data to get a close to accurate index might get a little challenging at times. You might not have that level of detailed data to pull out an SPI or CPI. Second, what is really important is what is the value or what is the impact that it is creating to the business. So some of the meaningful metrics that I have seen in manufacturing environment are things like takt time, cycle time, your inventory levels, and then if it's a new product development, what is the incremental revenue that it is adding to the business. These kind of metrics is really more meaningful. It hits the numbers to the business. Now, there are a few factors that I would suggest that we need to keep in mind when we are defining these metrics. Is number one, do not ignore or oversee your internal customers, because in a manufacturing environment, anything that you deliver, it kind of gets transitioned to operations. Now, how did you make your life easy for your operations team? That's a real good metrics to have, monitor and track it. And then going for a complete solution versus an incremental solution, that's another important factor to be considered when you're defining the metrics. Like, do you want to spend all your calories up front, or are you willing to compromise, see some incremental improvements rather than going to an end-to-end solution? And then the last factor I would really insist that we have to keep in mind is, do consider what your executives want to see. Many times all these things are leadership driven. There's nothing right or wrong. It's just how your executives want to see the impact to the business. So that puts the project managers under a situation where they have to do some homework upfront at the time of defining objectives, at the defining goals, having the right kind of metrics, keeping everybody on the same page, and then moving forward with the project execution, and also track it at a later stage.
Fantastic. Good stuff. One metrics I'd like to know, given that it is today is the International Women's Day. First of all, well done as a woman in the profession, whatever you are, and all the women joining today or listening to this. Really commendable job you have been doing in the industry, and I know a lot to be done to bring women and men compatible in many fields. So, let's celebrate the women's success, as well as like to know what is the percentage you have in manufacturing industry as women versus men, especially in the leadership position. Is it growing, improving? What's happening there?
Oh, absolutely, Dharam. I mean, in leadership position, yes, all these DEI initiatives are really big these days in manufacturing industries, and we do see a lot of women raising in the leadership position. At least in the organization I'm working, I'm really happy, proud to be here. We are slowly, the things are pivoting towards it's not just diversity, right? It's not just the numbers, it's not just the ratio. It is how you support, how you encourage the women to grow in their career. Yes, the answer is a very strong yes from my side, that we are seeing a lot of change in the industry.
Yeah, and often we underestimate the contribution given by women. I mean, the thing is that women not only look after the house and many other things in the back home with the kids and many things happening, as well as looking after the the responsibility given by the organization. So that's where the women are doing great job, and that does not mean men are doing anything less. We as men are doing even more. I have to be biased on that side. Because there are lots of men sitting, hey, Dharam, you just, okay, no, yeah, I know. But yes, there are lots to be done yes, we see in the developed countries, women are doing great and can do better. But the many of the developing countries, the women are still have not achieved or reached to a level where they can see that, oh yes, we are an equal position or around that position, so that we can also. So a lot to be done in many industries or many countries. So let's continue to do the good job there. All right, thank you. So my next question is, how do you integrate project management versus manufacturing processes?
Yep, sure. Dharam, can we share the slide, Dharam, for this question?
Yes, please. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. In the meantime, I can start. So as I mentioned, things that get qualified as a project. One of the examples is new product development. So I've kind of been in this space for a long time. So I'm just taking this as an example to explain. What you're seeing on the screen is a very standard new product development process. It's called a stage gate process. Typically, many organizations use it. It's many of us know about the stage gate process. You typically have 5 phases. Some places have 7 phases, where you complete a set of activities, and at the end of each phase, you have a gate review. And then towards the end, you close out, you launch the product, right? Pretty intuitive, standard process there. And so what these steps is actually trying to tell us is, how do you develop a new product? This is like a process guide. It is telling you all the list of activities that need to be done in order to deliver a quality output. So it's highly cross-functional. You have very talented resources who are working on all these actions. I mean, we don't have to go through the bullet points here, but highly cross-functional. You have resources who are experts in each domain who are working on these activities. Now, what is actually missing here is, number one, how do you move from one step to another? There's a lot going on in what you're seeing on the screen. How do you move from one step to another? Who owns what, and when will they be delivered? And needless to say, there is a need for one person to have a holistic view of what is happening in this process. And then do not neglect or do not ignore the collaboration piece. Coordination between the process steps, coordination between the functions. These are the things, the answer for these questions is project management. Yeah, so this is where, we can integrate project management methodology with your standard process. Of course, there is a little bit of knowledge that will be required. There is a little bit of deep diving that will be required to understand the left side, and then come up with your tools, your project management tools, and see where they fit in. But in my opinion, your manufacturing process, your left side can be anything. right? It depends on the project you're working on. Like when I managed a supplier onboarding project, my left side looked totally different. But your right side, you have to integrate them, get a little creative, and come up with some kind of an integration approach here. In my opinion, the process implementation and your project management methodology should complement each other. You know, they're never going to conflict, because the goal and the objectives of the two sides are totally different, and you'll always find them complementing and adding towards the success of the project. So a couple of years back, I kind of wrote a detailed article about how to integrate new product development with project management. If anybody is keen, they can, it's still there on PMI website. You can check it out. And that's where I took this from, actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a article published, Integration of New Product Development and Project Management, okay, 2021. Great stuff. Yeah, I'm sure people love to find out more about that. So please go ahead and take the note and do the search. All right, is it done with the question?
Yes, Dharam, that's okay. What I had.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. And any questions, guys? We are going through very nicely. Let me unshare. And you had, okay, you don't have to talk now on this slide. So my next question is, how the current trend to downsizing and flattening of the manufacturing organization have heightened the tension and led both project and function manager in conflict of interest. So there's another question actually came from person Randy. Whether the shift from classical bureaucratic structure in the manufacturing industry taking place in reality. So there are two questions we're trying to mix, and other question came from Ishwar. Thank you guys for putting your questions as well. Veena, did you get the question, or do you want me to repeat?
No, I got it. I got it. Yeah, thanks for sending this question. This is a great question because it touches on really two important aspects, that structure and the roles. So I would like to answer this in two stages. One is, let's talk a little bit about the structure. You know, typically in manufacturing industries, the way the organization is structured is it's called value stream structure. Now, what that means is value stream is a very lean kind of a structure, which is created and implemented. The reason for having that is to increase your throughput, increase your profitability. All this kind of aligns with how the business gets impacted in terms of revenue, growth, and profit. Now, there are a number of reasons why they do it, and trust me, that is the best way to organize your structure. For example, it could be the whole one value stream could be one market that you're serving. You know, so what they typically do is they take the entire order to cash and make sure all the resources are aligned to that structure. It could be a product line, you know, where the resources gets aligned to the value stream of that product line. And it has phenomenal results in terms of throughput. And that's what is important for manufacturing organizations. Now, the second question, whether, I mean, I'm assuming when you say bureaucratic structure, you're trying to say that moving towards some lean structure like this. I'm not sure if we can use the word bureaucratic here. But it is definitely a structure that makes sense to the business. You know, it's important that we have that kind of structure. Now, coming to the conflicts piece, you know, conflicts between project managers and functional managers. I personally don't look at these two roles as conflicting roles. I rather look at it as complementary roles. You know, in a project environment, functional managers can actually act as your SMEs. You know, they are the people who are going to provide resources, who are going to bring in a lot to the table when you're managing projects. So I really don't see any conflict there. I see a very collaborative kind of a relationship between functional managers and project managers. The reason we get these thoughts is, I just go back to the challenge that we talked about, because still that adoption is going on in many places. And don't forget that this is a change. So as you're implementing this change, you tend to get such impressions, but the structures, the value stream structures, the lean structures are those that really are impactful to the business.
Fantastic. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. So, and do you see lots of cost cutting happening? A lot of people are laid out in this manufacturing industry, or is
Oh, right now?
yeah.
Not to the extent of layoffs, Dharam, but yes, depending on the industry, there is, like, you know, cutting travel costs or things like that. Small steps. Yes, yeah, I do see some signs of small cost cutting measures. Yes.
And automation is also impacting a lot of some places. Automation happening that is impacting the number of people working there.
It really depends. Yeah, I know we had talked a lot about industrial automation and Internet of Things and all that. It still needs to go through that maturity in the adoption. It's really too early to say whether it's impacting the workforce. Yeah.
All right, let's leave this question on side for a moment. All right, my next question is bridging the gap between traditional manufacturing processes and critical competitive capabilities.
Yeah. So it's really important, you know, we touch on this competitive capability. So competitive capabilities provide organizations to have that differentiation in the industry. You know, what I mean by that is they have to differentiate themselves with their competitors. They have got to do something which their competitors are not doing if they have to be leaders in the market. And competitive capabilities are very, very agile. Oh my God, it keeps changing like anything. Your markets keep changing, your customers keep changing, your products keep changing, and then innovation. Oh my God, innovation is going at a rate like never before. So it's really, really important that companies come up with some kind of a capability which can really differentiate them in the market. Now, coming to bridging the gap, so like, for example, merger and acquisitions is a great example. There is only some extent that one company can grow organically with launching new products or pricing strategy or whatever that is. So companies are going in for merger and acquisitions. We are trying to consolidate resources and trying to see how they can grow their businesses. And then, so when we talk about bridging the gap from traditional to these capabilities, competitive capabilities, that's where a disciplined execution, project management, all these come into picture. Because every organization, I mean, every corporation, the big initiative now is to go through some kind of business transformation. You know, transformation is the word that is in limelight these days. Either it is technology transformation, or it is process transformation, or it is digitization. So there is leaders, what they're doing is they're trying to use all this market research, all this intelligence that is available there, and come up with some new capabilities that needs to be implemented. So that's where I see project management has a tremendous opportunity and scope. Like once they have the capability definition defined, there is an increasing need for a faster and sustainable solution there, you know. So I mean, I see it as an opportunity and great time to be in the industry for project managers now in helping bridge this gap.
Great stuff. And do you need lots of project managers in manufacturing industry at the moment?
That's a great question, Dharam. Now, honestly, it really depends on the size of the business, you know. And when we talk about implementation of project management, the question to be asked is, what is the degree or what is the level to which it needs to be implemented? You know, what makes sense to the business? So in some places, bigger businesses, where they see a lot of projects opportunity, yes, they do have dedicated roles, but in some places, no, they don't. Like, there'll be somebody in a different role who kind of wears a project manager's hat and drives things. But I would say it's very organization specific.
Okay. And do you see more projectized project management metrics, or projectized or metrics, or functional?
Oh, it's functional, Dharam.
Yeah.
It's functional. Yeah, absolutely, very much. And shared resources. That's what I talked earlier.
Weak metrics.
Yeah, is that weak metrics? Yes.
Sorry, I know it's something I read or talk in my PMP class, and just put together. Anyway, I know the manufacturing is more functional, and project managers are working, but lesser responsibility compared to when you are in the projectized environment. But yeah, so I was assuming most of the places it is going to be projectized.
Oh,
sorry,
no.
sorry, functional. Functional.
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you. And guys, I just shared the PDU code on the chat, so please take a note of that. Yeah, I have put a course identifier and PDU claim code, and it's on the chat. Please take a note. And the people watching the webinar at later stage recording, so please watch and let me know that you have watched the webinar and you want the PDU code. So that's where it is, you know. There's nothing free here. You have to spend 1 hour of learning to get this PDU code. Anyway, so that's what the purpose of the PDU is, to make you to learn from the whole process, from other person. So thank you. And Veena, I do have another question, and I know it's coming from audience question. I don't know, you know, let me take it anyway, see what we can talk. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So how project managers do supply chain related risk affect the manufacturing industry setup for digital transformation and building resilience in current VUCA environment?
Yeah, I mean, supply chain, not sure how much I can comment, but when it comes to building resilience in the environment, so in a challenging environment, Dharam, things get a little tricky, you know. As I talked about 2 scenarios of existing framework and frameworks that don't exist. The way I would approach it is try and perform a quick gap analysis, you know, when you're whichever environment you are. Yeah. Try and understand, hey, where are the teams struggling? What's the goal? Where can you add value? Come up with some quick wins. It's really very helpful to you. You know, it's too exhaustive to implement the project management methodologies end to end, but I'm sure there will be ample opportunities for people to implement, for us to implement. I would target that first. And then I would focus on two things. One is demonstration of value. You know, that's really important. I mean, I know that it was very confined to supply chain, but I hope this will help in answering that question. Demonstration of value. How is this methodology going to impact the project, going to impact the business? The second is data-driven approach. You know, data is very powerful. I mean, I know it gets a little time consuming. Sometimes data is available. Sometimes it might have to be generated, but I would strongly suggest that speak with the facts and follow a data-driven approach. And then slowly you will start seeing changes. Monitor that noticeable changes. You know, slowly your methodologies will start becoming an indicator for effectiveness. Traditional approaches will start getting replaced by project management methodologies. Try to capitalize on those, you know, and don't oversee or don't ignore the people element here. You know, there is an increasing need in bringing people together, bringing the right people together to the table to solve problems. And trust me, that's what project managers do. That's what PMI has a number of tools available there for us to help. It's really important to get the right people to solve the problems. And I would kind of start with these quick wins to make an impact in whichever area you are as a project manager.
Fantastic.
Yeah, maybe you would want to add, Dharam. I know I didn't touch on all the aspects there on the question.
Yeah, I think you covered pretty much the way we wanted to see the answer. But yeah, if somebody has a follow-up question, please put that follow-up question or any questions you like to ask. And from my side, the questions, I'm done with my questions, and we are almost, time is also finished almost. So, but if you like to say a few words or anything else you like to share, Veena, more than welcome.
No, I just want to thank everybody. You know, just really appreciate everybody taking this time and being here present for the webinar. Yeah, please feel free if you want to have a follow-up conversation or regarding the certification, any area, I would be more than happy to help.
Great stuff, thank you. And guys, if you are in in manufacturing industry or construction industry, and you're not sure whether you are eligible for PgMP PfMP, sometimes because your role is called project manager, but he said, Dharam, I am project manager. How can I apply for program manager certificate? So there is some confusion around that. You know, I'm happy to talk about it. It is about managing multiple interdependent projects in a coordinated way. So we're talking multiple interdependent projects. If you have, as long as you have more than one project, you will be, and more than one, let's say 2 projects or more, you are kind of running a program. And yeah, so if you have any doubts around your role for eligibility, please bring it to me and book my time. I'm happy to discuss about it. I do think I have a question here. How can Agile be implemented in manufacturing? So I think we talked about Agile, but you want to have something more on how can Agile be implemented in the manufacturing?
Yeah, sure, Dharam. Yeah, I think we touched on that in the first question, but yeah, happy to go through it again. Yeah, there are ample opportunities. Like it really depends on the project. Like for example, in new product development, the technologies and 3D printing is the example that I quoted earlier, where you can get a look and feel of the products within hours. So when you're going through that concept phase in your new product development, there is an opportunity to implement Agile. And the other area is continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is a big focus area for, I mean, there are departments called continuous improvement department in manufacturing industries who actually focus on constantly eliminating waste and reducing the cycle time and things like that. Classic area where you can implement Agile, where you don't need that long structured sequential execution there. You want to show results quickly, right? It's very incremental expectation. So those areas, Agile is a perfect example to go for.
Great stuff. Thank you. My next question coming from audience. Yeah. Thank you, both of you, for your time. It was an interesting conversation, and I enjoyed hearing your perspective. My background is federal government, so it was great to hear from a public organized view.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, another thing is a great session. I had to hop off. Okay, thank you. Apologies for no worries. How do you feel artificial intelligence will impact your job, our jobs? So the question is, how do we artificial intelligence, we're talking everywhere, will impact our jobs?
Yeah, 1 second. I'm just trying to. Yeah, artificial intelligence. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it will have an impact on the workforce, but for some of you might be aware there are courses in universities which who offer. They are combining business analytics with project management. I'm not sure if you've heard. It's called BAPM, I think, Business Analytics and Project Management. So to implement AI projects, there's a huge requirement for project managers. As I said, there are courses in universities who are looking into it where they can have analytics. They can combine analytics with project managers competency. So I would again see that as an opportunity and not as a threat for project managers. It's going to impact, but it's going to be pivoting in a new direction for us.
Yeah. Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you for all your questions, guys. It was wonderful talking to you, Veena. And thank you for joining, all of you. I know, as I said, some of you are midnight. Some of you are coming from different countries. And I know some people say, Dharam, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, yeah, that shows your passion to learn. And my job is to bring right people here. Every 2 weeks, I'm coming with a wonderful personality. And these are not well-known personality, but hopefully from this platform, some of you, like Veena or other people, may find some, maybe this is, I know this is the first time you were presenting a public space, but everything has first time. And I'm able to give you a chance to, you did really well. You did actually extremely well job, and hope this is not your last time, and you continuously succeed in your life, whatever you do in your life. So,
thank you, Dharam. Thank you.
And once again, happy International Women's Day. Enjoy your rest of the day and rest of your night. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.